Yes, we are recording. Great. So as we're waiting for some other people, more people maybe to come in, um, this is an extra call that I want to do with this group, mainly to introduce Michael also and introduce his fantastic work. I think it's the biggest shift in the way I look at my work is coming across what he has been doing or has done for decades or decades ago. And yeah, I just want to give you a glimpse today of what's possible. I actually wrote a newsletter today also about the power of honor, as I feel it is maybe the most powerful tool you have to improve both the relationship with yourself and the relationship with other people. And so the vision exercise appears in part one of the course. So it's coming in as a bonus in the next part of the course. But I want to give it early on because, as I've experienced also in the live event in Malaga with Sean and with Daniel, if you start with it, it really sets a good tone for the whole journey. And it's the thing that also can help you see it through when shit hits the fan, when you hit hard times. So Michael and I met last year in Malaga. Like Sean and Daniel came to an event. He came to an event, and he's very obnoxious and fun. And we hit it off, and we connected over a paradoxical attraction for both outrage and honor. And we connected, and we started traveling. We saw each other in Bucharest, and we went to Kenya, we went to Chiang Mai, we went to Colombia, went to Cuba, a couple of places. And yeah, we spent the past year sharing visions, but mainly sharing war stories or making up new war stories. And it's been incredible. And but I'm very attracted to the work also, and so that's why I invited him to come here, and he's very eager to share his work. And so what we're going to do today is have an exercise. He's going to lead it, so I'm not 100% sure if it's going to happen. But what I expected, it's an exercise where you can go through the exercise. We'll go through the exercise together, and the purpose of it is for you to find a place to stand in your journey through the land of women, and who you want to be with the women in your life, for the women you're going to meet. You know, what kind of seducer do you want to be? You're going to try to find a place to stand and feel that honor. And for many, maybe something you never felt before. And that's what we're looking at. Michael, Juan, if you're not talking, please mute your microphone. Michael, did I introduce you well?
Yes, thank you, Hans. Can everyone hear me? Yes? All right. Great. Yeah, Hans is, you know, I walked a long road between having like zero ability socially or with women to being competent in the land of women. And you know, for years I paid attention to what was going on in the, let's say, the seduction or PUA community or whatever, and a lot of it's kind of like tacky, kind of cheesy, whatever. But Hans is someone that I really resonated with, and he spoke of honor, and he spoke of, I believe, he was also speaking of anger and desire. Three themes which are really important things that I've explored deeply on my journey. And yeah, I showed up in Malaga, and we hit it off, and I feel like I have a really dear friend and brother and ally, and yeah, we're talking about how we can unite men around the world and raise up men and find brothers and allies and have magnificent adventures, and yeah, just enjoy much richer lives with great men in around us. And so yeah, brotherhood is a really important theme for me, and it's really connected to honor. It's connected to tribe. It's connected to purpose and mission and all these things that I think are normal for human beings for most of humanity's existence. But in today's modern world, we're cut off from. We're cut off from tribe. We're cut off from brotherhood. We're cut off from having a role of honor for our people. We're cut off from these coming of age, rituals where you become a man and an elder in the tribe, and cut off from connection to so much. And then we're just left to fend for ourselves and survive in a rapidly changing society and culture. And I grew up in America, and in America, and I grew up in the Mormon religion. I was really connected to ancestors and our story and our tribe and our people, and deep connection to having a role of honor and a mission and a purpose for my people and for God. And like I was really well kind of steeped in that growing up. And then my parents divorced when I was 14, and kind of like the rug was pulled out from underneath me. And I left my religion, I left my home, I left my mother, I left, everything was starting at 17. And my father left home at 14. And it's like, well, what does it mean to be a man and to be related to women, and to what's the path forward? What is true? What's my purpose? Like, all these things were suddenly unclear, whereas they were crystal clear before. And I was left to fend for myself, So, yeah, and the honor work that Hans speaks of is a lot of it comes from my upbringing, and it became like, well, how do I still have that if I'm no longer part of this religion? How do I still have a role of honor for my people if I'm no longer, walking this path, this righteous path for my, along with my tribe and everything like this. So, so I just wanted to share a bit, like, for me personally, I've gone from having literally, like, I couldn't talk to women, I couldn't talk socially. I had like zero, ability in the social arena. And so wherever you guys are at, like, everything have socially, I had to fight for, literally, like, fight all this programming, fight my own shyness, all of this. It's been a long journey. And this exercise that Hans speaks of, that we're going to get some familiarity with on the call today, this is related to the journey that's ahead. Like, if where you want to be as a man and or as a man with women is something, let's say, levels beyond where you're at now, then this is a really powerful exercise. By the way, okay, there we go. Now I have a view where I can see more of the guys on the call. Great. Before I was just looking at Hans. It's pretty boring to look at. So, anyway, so I would love to take a moment and just hear from each of you before we begin the exercise. But this is an exercise, by the way, we're not really going to chance, like, this is an exercise that you're going to have to take, if you want to do it properly, you're going to have to take it on your own after this call, or it'd have to be like a longer format to really dive into it. But what we'll be able to do on this call is give you some really clear instructions, give you some examples, give you some way to navigate this journey. But where you can end up with at the end is like a really powerful calling from within yourself to embark on this heroic journey, to become the man that you could be. And so it's really much more about, it's much more than just, who you are with women and your skills and so forth. It's the man that you could be if you faced everything that you have to face in your life. And there's a lot more at stake with this exercise and this path of honor than just what's possible with women. So yeah, so let's do this. Okay, let me set this up just a little bit further. First of all, I don't know how many of you guys have this actual exercise. Maybe you can some way to kind of raise your hand if you have this actual like worksheet in front of you. I don't know what it's called inside of the package that you sent them, Hans, but maybe it's called the vision exercise. But it'll either be like a 3-step or a 5-step worksheet. How many of you guys actually have this that you're looking at?
I don't think anyone will have the worksheet in front of them, as it is a mission that's in part 1, a bonus mission. So unless people have looked ahead in the course, nobody will have it with them right now. Okay,
good to know. Good to know. All right. So in setting this exercise up, you know, in life, when we have a dream that we want to achieve, let's say it's becoming fit, let's say it's getting girls, let's say it's getting rich, completing university, whatever it is, it tends to be kind of a really simple thing that we do. We first we have the dream, okay, I want this, and then we make some kind of a plan, and then we start taking action. Like we have the dream, make a plan of how I'm going to do this, and then we take action. And sometimes we skip the planning part and we just kind of start taking action, right? But what this exercise is it actually puts 3 steps in between the dream and making the how-to plan. And the reason why we do this is because what happens, it's a trap a lot of times, is you start off with like uninformed optimism, right? Of like, okay, yeah, like I want to become great with women. And it's, you know, and you think it's going to be as simple as X, Y, Z, right? And then you start off on this journey, and then you realize, oh, fuck, this is what it feels like to really put myself out and then be rejected. Or, wow, like I'm going to have to do this, and then, oh, here's what failure's like. And you realize, holy shit, this is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. And you don't want to do it. You don't want to do it anymore. And then you give up or you quit. You lose the dream. You realize it's not what you thought. And the dream dies, and then so does your action and your commitment. And this is what happens with so many things, whether you're starting a business or, you know, any path of transformation. Once you get to that point of realizing, oh, shit, this is what it takes, a lot of people, most people give up. So what we do instead, and what this exercise does, is we're going to face the mountain that lies between you and the great man that you could be. We're going to actually face that mountain, do our best to feel what it's going to feel like to be fucked on the side of that mountain, not knowing if we can make it up, to be hurt, to be bruised, to be bloodied, you know, and then once we face that mountain, at that point we're going to find like what would be worth standing for, what would be worth standing for, that even if I died on the side of this mountain would be worth giving my life for. And we're, you know, and what we want is to actually feel that, and then from that feeling can emerge a vision that calls us forward with this powerful feeling of honor, instead of just being motivated by a dream or an idea and not being grounded with that powerful vision and honor. So I have a lot of work that's based around the power, the forces of vision and honor, which are incredibly powerful to transform your life in the world. But this is a simple exercise that can go a long ways towards availing you of those forces. All right, so I guess let's start with like just have everyone take just a quick second and just chime in here with like just say like your name and where you are, and say something about your dream. So this would be like the first step. You guys probably already have some kind of a dream of like the man that you like to be, or the life you like to have, or the kind of women you like to be with, or let's say something about that dream. Let's keep it short, but let's give everyone a chance to just connect.
Are we?
You guys jump in.
Is it related to women, or are you speaking more general, Michael?
Yeah, let's include women, but also the kind of man you want to be. Let's say something about that dream, and yeah, let's go for maybe like 30 seconds or so each. So keep it pretty short. I'll mute myself. You guys might have to, Hans, if you can mute everyone at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever's easiest for people to jump in.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, if we do this like the Sunday call, if someone goes ahead and then passes it on to the next person, we can do it like that. So Connor, if you go ahead, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good, brother. My name's Connor Nolan. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and my dream is to travel the world while doing my own I do spiritual work, so doing my own business, self-employed, and traveling around the world. And also, a big reason I want to travel is I'm very passionate about women, and I want to experience women all around the world. And so, huge on seduction. I love to seduce, love to be seduced. So I want to incorporate my craft along with the seduction and travel the world and be able to experience all these different things.
100% relate to that dream.
Oh yeah.
I had that dream, and I let it just be in the back of my mind for about 20 years before I acted on it. Yeah.
Hey, better late than never, bro. Bream.
Hey, thanks. Hey everyone, I'm Reem. I'm now in Thailand. I'm traveling for some time already, around 4 years. And actually recently there was something funny that happened. I was having a little chat with someone, and she said like, oh, when you're in Kenya, let me know, I'll pick you up from the airport. That generated a kind of a feeling in me. I was like, wow, you know, like I'm seen in a certain way, like, wow, they want to put in a little bit of work for me, or they inviting me, and they are doing the things, and they like to see me. It's they perceive me in a certain way, and exactly that impression is most of the time missing. And I'm on this journey to like to be a man, to be like a man of integrity and presence and honesty and trust and certain charisma and all those things that if I show up, women are in a good sense impacted, and they want to get to know me. And I also need to make those actions, of course, like be in that space and open my mouth and approach. And that's kind of like an energetical kind of pull that I want to kind of like exude. I think it's still a bit abstract maybe, but that's kind of a man who I like to become. Yeah.
Great. Are you Dutch, Reem?
Yeah, I cannot hide it.
Pick who's going next.
Yeah, let's see. Bogdan.
anybody hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes. But I don't hear nobody.
Can you hear us? Yes?
Yeah, I don't hear you. I just see
No?
you.
Oh,
No. Fuck.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I think it's the it's the headphone. They don't work.
well, the mic works.
Yes.
Yes, you can hear?
Yes.
Okay, good. So it was passed on to you. Did you hear what you were going to do?
I didn't hear the beginning of the conversation.
Okay. So just introduce yourself and what you hope for in the land of women and in general as a man in this journey.
Uh-huh. So I am Bogdan. I'm a student. And what do I want in this? More fluidity. Yes, I'm sure of that. I have kind of a wall. Sometimes I can go through. It depends on the situation, but it is there. So I want to break it and just go. So that's my main objective. Yeah. So this is it.
Okay, cool. Who do you want to pass it to?
Who didn't talk?
Almost everyone.
Yes.
You can pass to Hans.
Hans, see. Yes, go Hans. Go ahead.
See? What's see? That's not Romanian nor English. That's da. So I'm Hans George Alice Comen. I'm currently in Bucharest. And my dream in the land of women is to be seduced and have seductive women be part of my tribe and be able to take care of the people in my tribe, to provide for them. That's what I intensely dream about.
Great. Let's do this because I'm realizing this is going to take all day. If we go around to everyone for each of these steps, okay? Type in the group chat what your dream is so we can all see it. And we'll hear from some more people on the next part of the next exercise, okay? So on this call, I really want to give the instructions for the full exercise and some examples. And that's going to take up pretty much most of the call. So now when you're talking about your dream for the exercise, let yourself just go off. Let yourself just talk all about it. Describe like what is the dream for you, right? That alone for a lot of people can be really powerful. And to just see their dream. If you haven't sat down to think about it, write it down or tell someone about it, then take the time to do that. That would be the first step, and that's a fairly common step if you want to achieve something. So Great. All right. So then the next step usually is we put a plan in place, but we're going to put 3 steps in between those 2 steps. Okay. So the next step is what I call facing the mountain. Okay, facing the mountain. So imagine that you head off towards this dream with full commitment, like you're gonna make it to become this man, to have these kind of women in your life, to have this kind of self-expression, you know, whatever your dream is. You want to actually think about what are all the obstacles that you could run into that if you weren't truly committed could stop you, could have you compromise your dream, settle for less, give up, turn back, make excuses, and stop without making it all the way. Okay? So, so the first step in facing the mountain is think of the things that could come up or that could happen or the obstacles that you could face that could stop you. Okay? And then for each of those, what you want to do is think about how would I feel if I ran into that obstacle. Okay, so and Hans, just talking about this with you for maybe future courses and stuff, it might be a good idea to like sit down and write down, like make a list, and maybe we can share this together. What are all the possible obstacles that typically men could run into, right? That could stop them on their path. You know, maybe you fall in love with a woman and then she cheats on you, right? You're madly in love, like the perfect woman for you. She cheats on you, and then you feel, what do you feel, right? So take time to imagine this happens, how you feel, and write this down. And get present, like, wow, yeah, like, man, I could see how maybe I would just be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go for a woman who's that hot that so many guys like her. Maybe I'll settle for something less, right? Maybe, or maybe I'll give up on marriage, or maybe I'll give up on like whatever the dream is for you. All right, so this would be one of the potential obstacles and the feelings that could go along with it that would be difficult along this path. Maybe another one would be, you know, another obstacle would be approaching women and feeling that fear of rejection, feeling the actual rejection and the shame that could go along with that, maybe public humiliation. But spend some time writing about that. If that's an obstacle for you that could come up, you actually want to get really present to it. And the purpose of this is think back for a moment of like, I'm just going to share like an American perspective of like World War II, right? So World War II didn't really involve the Americans for quite a few years. And a lot of Americans wanted to stay out of the war. And it's a nasty war. This is back when wars happened, like World War I. How many millions of people just meaninglessly lost their lives in some foxhole, you know, just mountains of bodies, you know. Like who wants to just cross the ocean and go stand in the line of fire in some country where you know no one and just be blown to bits, and then all your dreams are gone, your family loses a son and a brother, and like who wants to do that, right? But these men, these young men who signed up to go over and fight at the ages of 18, imagine being 18 or 19 years old, you're going to cross the ocean and you're going to go fight until the war is over and likely die, right? Likely die. But the men who came back, imagine coming back a few years later, having faced everything that you face in that kind of a bloody, nasty, difficult war, and the winters and the hunger and the fear and the stress and the the bloodshed and losing brothers and the grief and the anger and the confusion, and maybe you lose an arm, and I mean, imagine coming back after such epic challenge, and the men who came back and the glory and how they were remembered by their families, and the confidence that they walked with, and the feeling they had in their heart, knowing that when the shit hit the fan, that they were there to fight for their brothers, for their freedom, for their country, for whatever. And that incredible transformation, that kind of transformation is possible for you if you really take on and face everything that there is to face on this journey, from being the man you are today to being the kind of man that you could become if you faced everything. So in this exercise, we actually want to face everything. Think about crossing that ocean. Think about standing in the line of fire when it comes to the social pressure or the challenges with women. And think about it so deeply that maybe you're not even sure you want to sign up for this war. You want to sign up for this epic challenge, like, holy shit, becoming this great man means all of this pain. Fuck, I don't even know. Before you progress to the next step in this exercise, you should actually be at a point where it's like, yeah, I'm not sure, because it's fucking, this is an epic challenge. Okay, so in going around the virtual room here, let's just maybe each share, like, what's one challenge for you, or one obstacle, or one roadblock that you might have to overcome to be the great man that you'd want to be, for your people and with women and for yourself. What's one obstacle or potential setback or painful thing that could happen that could potentially derail you? And then how might you feel if that happened? Take a moment to think about that. And while guys are, if you're thinking about that, you can start to maybe make your list of some of these things in the chat box. But let's hear from someone who hasn't shared yet. Yeah. Let's hear about what one challenge from one of you. Who's next?
So I want to go. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think one of my biggest challenges is my lack of patience. Like, I'm really committed in getting this part of my life handled and going all out. I actually took a train 1 hour into the city just so I can meet more women. So I'm really committed, but I lack patience. I want to get good fast, like really, really, really fast. And when I don't meet that expectation, I get really frustrated at myself. And my biggest challenge is learning to be patient and realizing that this is a lifelong journey that's going to take a lot, and not just 2 months or 3 months. That's my biggest challenge.
That's great, Anthony. So if you think about it for a second, yeah, like if it doesn't happen as soon as you would want it to, right? A few months, 6 months, a year, maybe at some point you give up and you say, well, I'm just not a ladies' man, or maybe it's not worth it. I don't have that much time. Or you can imagine it maybe how you might make excuses or give up in a certain way, right? That's great. So that would be one thing that you would write down in this part of the exercise of facing the mountain, and then how you might feel. All right, who's next?
That's funny. I want to say it because I almost have the opposite. Like in my dream to be able to provide for the people in my tribe, I write down that the part of my mountain is that I don't feel the urgency as much as I would like to. Um, I am very patient, and maybe too patient to get it done as soon as I would like to. So
Yeah, I can relate to that, Hans. I'm like I'm very content. I mean, I just looking at the last year, right? Like that incredible. I've had incredible connections with women from 18 to 41, you know, all over the world, and it's been great. I mean, but I lack the like. It's like I could just be content at the level I'm at. You know, I could just be content and miss out on. I mean, I have an idea that something more is possible for me. It can be really powerful for me to sit down and go through this full exercise, you know, including starting with the dream. Like, what is that next level dream for me? Because in a way, I've kind of arrived at what the dream I had years ago, you know. And there's definitely a whole next level for me, and I could just be content. Let's hear from some more guys.
I'll go. I guess one of the things I could face is being intimidated by other success when I might not be advancing as quickly. I think that's something that would come up for me.
For example,
Like say, I don't know, if say we're doing the course, if people are really pulling ahead in the course and I'm not going as quickly, then that could be like, oh, maybe they're not just natural and I'm not, kind of thing.
what could you feel? What could you feel like when you see that happening?
I don't know. It would feel like a return to the emptiness that was there before I started pursuing these things. It would be like staring at that and saying, that's where I'm headed again.
And at some point, it can be easier to give up, right? Like to say, well, maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe I'm not that kind of guy, or maybe I don't really want that, or maybe those guys who try to learn these skills, they're assholes. They're this, they're that. Like that's what we do, you know. We shit happens, some feelings come up, and then it's easier to make up some excuse to take ourselves off of the path. And it's really powerful to write down what might those feelings be, so that when it happens, you can be like, ah, yeah, this is part of my mountain. This is not reason to turn back. This is actually what I signed up for. I know it's going to come, and I'm ready for it, and I have a more powerful reason to keep going. So it's powerful to identify it. So like maybe also, I don't know about you, Sean, but maybe frustration, maybe jealousy, maybe feeling like shame, like I'm not good enough, maybe hopelessness. Try to go deep. The deeper you can go in this exercise and touch upon the painful feelings that might actually come up for you. You know, we spend our lives and our days trying to avoid the feelings that we don't want to feel. And these feelings are what can derail us from everything that deep in our hearts we want. Sometimes it's not even pleasant to want to think about them or touch them, or because we're maybe scared that if I touch it or I feel it, maybe I'll go back there. Maybe that's who I really am. But so this is in a way like an exercise of a warrior. In fact, I used to call this exercise the warrior vision exercise. We want to face. You imagine a mountain, climbing an actual mountain like Mount Everest. Maybe one of the things that happens is you run out of food. You're feeling hunger, and then you're afraid. You feel fear. Am I going to die on the side of this mountain and my life means nothing? Feeling, you might feel like no one's coming to save me. I don't mean anything to anyone, right? And these feelings could actually have you give up on the side of the mountain, right? Or maybe you climb the mountain and you stumble, you fall, you break a leg, and you have the physical pain. And then maybe you feel, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough. Or you feel grief that I spent all these years preparing for this climb, and now I'm not going to make it. You know what? So you really want to go deep into what are all the possible things that could come up on this mountain climb, and what are all the possible feelings that you could have around it if that happened to you. And the more this mountain looks intimidating, the better it is for moving to the next step, which is when you're going to find the emotional power to keep going. Okay? So, and this will prepare you for when the shit comes up that otherwise, if you hadn't done this preparatory work, could derail you. So, yeah, thank you, Sean. Who's next?
I have something. For me, I'm extremely fucking self-critical, and I'm a perfectionist. So, especially when speaking to women, if a situation, and I know they always talk about being detached from the outcome, but sometimes it's hard, and it's just that shit will just hit you, and it's like, damn. It's like, it's because you're not expecting it sometimes. And so that's happened to me recently, and you try to stay disconnected, but sometimes it's, the shit just manifests. And that's probably the hardest thing for me. That obstacle is just being very self-critical and accepting the rejection, or accepting getting hit with the shit, and not judging yourself for it, being, it's okay to experience this. This is part of your experience.
So are you saying that like you're on the journey, you're connecting with women, and like you experience rejection, and then after that you criticize yourself for what you did wrong,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then what are the feelings that could arise if you really get into that self-criticism?
Insecurity, fear, anxiety, hopelessness, probably a little bit of shame, like, oh, it's a damn shame, like I didn't get that, or I didn't say this, or unworthiness. And even though it's not true, you think it's true because of your experience. And
it feels real, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
yeah, shame is deadly. Shame can be like, it's like I'm not even worthy of what I'm aiming at.
Exactly. Yeah, that's not even with women too. If I don't experience, maybe it's a financial goal, or a goal in the gym, or a goal because I want to travel. If I'm not traveling as soon as I want to travel, it's like, wow, I should have been doing this already. Like, why am I not doing this? There's other people doing this. Kind of ties into what Sean feels like. I'm very impatient as well. So those are all kind of tied in, I guess, for me at least.
Thanks for sharing, Connor. Yeah, so as you guys do this exercise, again, you're going to want to do it deeper. If you really want the results from it, you need to spend some time with it. But you would actually want to let yourself feel like, what might that feel like? What would I be saying to myself? Get present to it so that when it happens on the journey, it's just, you recognize it. This is part of what I signed up for, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, let's hear from one more person, maybe someone who hasn't shared yet. We got Juan and...
Yeah, sure, I'll go.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so potential obstacles for me right now is time, finding the time to work on myself through the program. I mean, I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing really well, but part of my exercises needs to be in the land of women. So I am having a hard time finding the time to put myself in those places where women are abundant. And I can work on the skills that are being taught here with Hans. But I'm not giving up. I mean, I am continually trying to find that time, and I do believe that I am making some progress. It's little steps, but I feel that if I keep on doing it and have some successes, small ones, that it'll snowball, and I'll find.
So Juan, excuse me if I can interrupt you. Yeah, so let's say it goes on for a little while. It's hard to find the time. What might you start feeling after a while?
Well, it's already been after a while, so I've been. It's a little frustrating, and sometimes a little to change that because of the responsibilities I have with business that I have, my family. I don't know if you're familiar with my background, but I'm married 23 years, had a monogamous relationship with one person, and we're kind of working on an arrangement. We're having an open marriage, but I think we're talking more like divorce. But we're going to stay partners with a legal contract with all our assets and all that stuff. So this is what's throwing me into this right now. So I still have all that I need to kind of take care of. I'm as a responsible man. I have children. I have with employees that are counting on me keeping the business going good, and so I got to manage all that and still find time to work on myself and do better. Because I think even with the success I will have with women, this is even going to make me have more success in all those other areas of my life.
Yes. Yeah, so maybe frustration, and also just based on what you were saying, maybe you start feeling like you're betraying your family or your business, your other commitments, and
sometimes
feeling guilt around that, right? And then maybe double down on commitments to your family and your business, but forget about yourself and your other dreams here. I mean, just looking at the potential roads that we could take, right? And again, there's a bias in American culture, and there's also a bias in, like, let's say the self-help and spiritual space. Like, don't focus on the negative, don't feel negative feelings, The Secret and all that. Just keep positive vibration and all this. The magic and the power of honor is actually inextricably linked to the facing and feeling everything, and the imagine being a warrior on the battlefield, but you only want to keep a positive focus, right? Don't look at the enemy coming over the mountain. Don't look, because you might feel some fear, right? Don't right. So the warrior, the power of the warrior begins in, like, facing everything. So I'm just saying this for everyone who's on the call or who's listening to this recording. What we want to do is try to imagine all the possible scenarios that could result in feelings that then could have us either compromise on our dream or give up completely on the man that we could be if we stood for having it all. And don't and this exercise goes all the way through to having a powerful vision to seeing it all through. So when you're in this step, it can seem like, well, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time here. Be wary of that. You want to go deep on this face the mountain part of the exercise. All right. Thank you, Juan. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And there was someone else, Eigil. I don't know how to pronounce your name. You had unmuted yourself there.
Eigil.
Eigil.
Yeah. One of the struggles I have, which I really notice now when doing these swerve-wise exercises, is that I'm trying to be in the moment and in the situation and feel into what the woman, what kind of feelings the woman give me. But I always tend to go up in my head, which I have done my whole life. So this kind of being in the moment and feeling into things, and that's something.
And what feelings come up for you as you try to be in the moment?
Yeah, that's one main problem, that I kind of block it. So I'm in my head and I don't. I'm in my head and trying to know what to say, and I block out the body and the feelings.
And what is that like for you as you're in your head talking to a woman and you're not really connecting with her? What does that feel like for you?
And this also depends when I'm doing these swerve-wise things. It's very short, so then I don't have that much time to kind of feel into things at all. But I guess this is more some exercise. But
does it come up for you? But there's times when you are, let's say, talking to women and you're in your head. Maybe you're not doing the swerve by, but you're just, right? Have you had the experience of like, I'm not really connecting to her. She's not interested.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably something to practice on. But yeah, that's.
How do you feel? How do you feel in those moments? What's your experience of that?
Maybe I get the feeling of not being interesting enough or good enough or things like that, which maybe is more about being present than actually having that very much interesting things to say or whatever. So
yeah, so and everyone on this call, imagine being in that situation, right? You're talking to a woman that you really like, and you can tell she's not really interested, right? Maybe you don't know why, maybe you don't know what to do about it. Maybe you know what to do about it, but you can't do it, right? Like, how does that feel? That's going to happen, right? That's going to, if all of us are on this journey to being better with women and we're taking risks, we're all going to have that experience at times. Yeah.
Hmm.
And what does that feel like in our bodies, right? It's not comfortable, right? Feels awkward, maybe. We can feel some shame. Maybe it's like we're not being seen, we're being rejected, or I don't know what to do. Be a feeling of helplessness, right? But the more that we can put our finger on these different things that could happen, that could just, at some point, when you add them all together, you just might be like, well, I'll just settle for the next girl who says yes to me, you know? Or whatever. Okay, thank you. It's Egil?
Eigil.
Eigil. And where are you from?
From Norway.
Norway. Thank you. All right. Just checking to see if we've heard from everyone. I think so. Okay. All right. So the objective in this step 2, let's call it, of the warrior vision exercise is facing the mountain. And you don't want to progress to step 3 until you're actually feeling some, oh, fuck, that's a big ass mountain. I'm not sure I want to fucking go forward. Once you're feeling that, the more that you're feeling that, the more you're ready for the next step. The next step is finding something worth standing for.
Can I ask a question, Michael?
Yes.
Would you include, because this is the first time I thought it, would you include like doom scenarios into this? Like, imagine I'm losing my legs, for example, or I go blind.
Oh, and then maybe you could give up on being the man you want to be?
Yes.
Those seem kind of random. I would think more of like the things that will happen if you're really committed to this. The things that you'll come up, the things that could derail you that could come up.
Right. Because
but,
if you're going to war, that is a real possible part of the mountain.
Sure, but in this case, we're not talking about actual war, right? Right. So, but what are some of the things that could happen that could be pretty brutal? You know, Juan was sharing earlier about his wife, and they're creating this open marriage or something like this, and she could start judging you really harshly. You know, maybe she gets jealous, and then she starts telling the family that you're a no good piece of shit, and then how might you feel, and then, you know what I mean? Like, there's shit. I mean, there's a lot of shit that could come up if you really stood for really being amazing, you know? And you could even think of like, think of men who are great with women. And if you were like that, who in your life would judge you if you showed up like them? Well, that's something you might have to deal with. Their judgments and how you might feel if they judged you that way. So, yeah, be creative, but I would try to keep it to things that could happen as you're committed to this path. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And if you were doing this exercise before heading to actual war, yeah, I would think about, like, if I lose my leg, right? Like, face all of that first. Okay, let's go to the next step. The next step is finding something worth standing for. And in this next step, again, after you're feeling the threat, the fear, the overwhelm of the mountain, ask yourself, what would be worth standing for? That even if I died on the side of the mountain, meaning like, even if I did not make it all the way to my dream, what would be worth standing for to still embark upon climbing this mountain? Even if I failed, it would be worth going for it. And then just allow yourself to just imagine that, to ponder that, and to explore some different things. Let's split this up into 3 categories here. You can think about what values might be worth standing for. You could say the value of seduction or the art of seduction. Like for Hans, that means something. And for you, you might not have any feeling around that. What matters here, the answer we're looking for is going to give us feeling. It's going to give us this feeling of honor. Like, fuck yeah, I want to stand up for that. You know, like your heart opens, your heart floods you with this warm, powerful, open feeling. Like, yes, like it makes you want to stand up straight. It makes you want to charge right into the battlefield, right? This is what we're looking for. So you could think about values like freedom or success or love, right? Now, oftentimes these values are not as don't evoke as powerful a feeling as the other few things that we can think about here. But that is one category. Another category is, so this would be something worth standing for, be worth standing for, and then you have values, right? The next thing you can say is it would be worth facing all of this to stand for being blank. It would be worth facing all of this to stand for being an example to my younger brothers that anything is possible in life, right? It would be, and this is something where you just have to think of things and then imagine that's why you're doing it, and then notice if there's an emotional response and how powerful it is. It would be worth standing for being the man I've always dreamed of being. And then notice, how do I feel? It would be worth standing for being powerful in the face of anything life throws at me, right? So, and then there's one more kind of category where you can phrase it here that's powerful, and it would be worth standing for being the one who blank. Okay, let's keep that in the other category. Worth standing for being blank, or worth standing for being the one who blank. Think about who would be worth standing for. Okay, who would be worth standing for? Okay, so this might be, imagine that there's a woman out there who's been dreaming of the man who you're going to become, and she's waiting for him right now. Imagine she's out there. it would be, maybe it would be worth standing for being, it would be worth standing for her, right? Or it would be worth standing for being yeah, I'm just thinking of how to split this up into these three categories. That's not as important as just finding something that gives you an emotional response there, right? But might be worth standing for being the man who your dream woman has been waiting her whole life to find, right? Might be worth standing for being the one who can show other men how to find their way in the land of love and women, right? So again, this is something that's very personal, and you have to explore for yourself. But when you know it, you have a strong feeling around it. Okay, all right, and don't relate to this like this can't change. This is a final answer. Don't relate to it like that. Just notice what really inspires you right now in this moment, and just roll with that. That's fine. Okay, and then the next step, once you have that, actually, let's pause for a moment, and let's play with this a little bit. Let's just think about it creatively. Again, there's no right answer, wrong answer. Just imagine some possibilities of what you might say would be worth standing for or worth standing for being. Let's just jump in here.
Hey, Michael, could I ask a question?
Yes.
I didn't understand part two. Part one is values worth standing for, and three is who is worth standing for. But what is two? The second one?
Yeah. It would be worth standing for being blank, or being the one who blank. So for example, face all of this, right? Like maybe your dream is to have an amazing love relationship or marriage and family and to be a father of whatever. And maybe for you, like to face all of this, it would be worth standing for being the man, husband, and father that your future wife and children will look up to and respect always. That makes sense? Maybe it would be worth standing for being the one who inspires your father to find love again. Right? These things don't have to make sense logically. It's what your heart responds to, right? It might be worth standing for being a man who lives by honor in the world of women. It might be worth standing for being an example to your son that an incredible relationship with a woman who loves you and cherishes you is possible in this life. It might be worth standing for being unstoppable in the face of anything. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thanks a lot.
I can see, Hans, that it would be really great to have some examples with this as you put this into your course more, to really have examples for each part of this for guys to look at and get, kind of feed the creativity there.
Yeah.
And what
It's
I would
also-
encourage you guys to do is write down a bunch of these different ideas and just, it's a creative thing, and then notice what you respond to. Well, notice what your heart responds to. Does that help, Juan?
Yes, it does. The noticing the response, the emotion is a difficult thing for me because I'm a man that's been around a long time. I've been conditioned not to, by our culture, And so this is a learning, an awakening for me. And
Yes.
I really, I haven't even started with the emotional part, but I'm trying very hard. Every time I write something down to see, and then also write how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I notice as I'm going through this, and I've seen this now a couple of times, I notice something completely, something or different things every time. And that really is the practice, to go to that point where you're feeling. That's what it's aimed at, you know. And that's why you throw terms around and phrases and ideas, and to the point where you all of a sudden feel it. And that is the exercise for me. And then you hit something, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, thank you, Hans. Yeah, this, you know, the emotion of honor can, you know, it can invoke tears. It can invoke, like, it can be overwhelming, you know, like when you're just, your heart and your body responds like, yes, that would be worth standing for. Like this, not as an exercise, but as an actual inquiry into your life. Like, what has you get up in the morning? Why are you on this call? You know, yeah, there's something you want. There's a dream that you want. There's feelings behind that dream, or you wouldn't be here, right? There's desire there. There's feelings that you have about this dream of what could be possible for you. But this is a little bit different. This is like an idea worth standing for. So if you think about, now I'm American, so I'm using American history examples here, but if you think about, you know, you and your family, you came to America to live a life of freedom, you know, and then the damn British king, you know, sends the troops, and they're entering your homes, and they're trying to assert their taxes and their laws, and they're colonizing you, and they're keeping you down. It's like, what would be worth risking your life for, to stand up, sign your name on a declaration to the king, risk your life? What would be worth it? Maybe the dream of you and your family being free. Maybe the idea of freedom itself would be enough. Maybe it's like, it's personal to you, right? But like, what would be worth standing up for, as opposed to like sitting down and taking it, sitting down and just going with the flow, sitting down and just letting life happen, right? And it might be subtle at first. So you don't need to do this. And if you don't end up in tears from this exercise, nothing's wrong, right? But try to pay attention to like, wow, when I said that, I feel a little bit more free in my body, you know? Or, whoa, I noticed I stood up, I sat up straighter when I thought of that, you know? Being the man that my son reveres when it comes to how I relate to women, right? Or just notice how your body responds. Let's explore this a bit more. Who has another question, or maybe an idea of, for you, maybe there's something that resonates in some of the examples I gave, but see if you can try to put your finger on something.
Well, I have been for a long time fighting to be happy in my life. And as you talked about the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the men who founded our country, including in our Constitution, are the three rights, inalienable rights, of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I'm looking at all these people who fought for that. That's right there in the very first thing in our Constitution. All the other rights are amendments. Just those three are the only inalienable rights that cannot be taken away from you. And damn it, I'm going to be happy. You know, people fighting for that. And you know, so I've been on this mission and quest for.
Juan, can I pause you?
Sure.
It looked like you felt something right there when you said that.
Yeah, it is an emotional. It's emotionally. I'm happy to be sharing this information with guys that appreciate listening and maybe help them as well as myself. So yes, I feel real happy about that.
Can you try to express that feeling, what you said about like?
Well, up in my chest, it's kind of started, the blood just sort of just expanded, kind of. Yeah, and
that's honor, my friend. Let's put a word on it. Let's put a word on it. That's honor. It's really powerful to distinguish this feeling because we don't have a word for it in English. It's really powerful to identify this feeling as an emotion because it's a powerful force and it's a dangerous force. Like, can you imagine you feeling this and standing up and fighting for this every moment of your day in your life, and then it builds and it grows and then you become unstoppable. Like, this feeling is powerful and it's dangerous to the forces that be. It's a dangerous force for good. So I like to just point that out when I see someone's like, put a name on it, and it's honor and it's powerful. That's what we're looking for. So Juan, that's great. I mean, so for you, you might play around with to face all of like to face my mountain. It would be worth standing for my happiness as an inalienable right. Or it might be worth standing for being happy no matter what comes. Or it might be worth standing for being the one who shows my kids that they can be happy no matter what happens in life. Right? So I would play with that because something was alive for you there with honor. There's something there for you.
Yes, it certainly is, and it's been like that for quite a while, maybe 5 years. But I haven't just jumped right into it. This group has sort of, kind of broke through some kind of barrier type of thing that I was just stuck at for a while, and it's a good feeling, and it's worth fighting for me.
Yes.
And I feel good about it.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes. Yes.
But thanks for putting a name of honor on it too. That even is better yet. That's like the icing on the cake.
Yes, and to relate it to what you were talking about before with the Constitution, I relate to honor as your birthright as a human being. Your birthright, that you get to have this and own this and feel this and have it be a guiding force in your life. I feel like it's natural, and it's something that's often taken away from us in our schooling, in our conditioning, as we're conditioned to be slaves, to go along with what other people want. We get trained to be obedient and to be good students, good employees, good citizens, good husbands, good Christians, good whatever. And that's basically by learning to obey the values of others when our own values would disagree. Honor is the feeling that you feel when you stand for your values, even in the face of what the authorities and the majority think. Honor is the reward, and we're trained to not be guided by it. So much so that often we don't even have a name for it, we don't have a relationship to it, and it feels new and strange and different to us. And it can be I was on a call like this maybe 15 years ago with a man, and I talked about honor being his birthright, and he burst into tears because he had been sexually abused by a priest when he was a boy. And when he just got the concept that honor is his, and he can have it, and he can live by it, and it's his, and no one can take it from him, he just burst into tears. It was that powerful. So I invite you guys, like, this can be the beginning of a journey to reclaim your personal honor. And this journey into everything that you want in the world of women can be much more about who you are as a man. And yeah, beautiful. Juan, thank you for sharing. How much time do we have, Hans?
The guys have made a rule that they shoot for about an hour, and then everybody's free to go, and everybody who wants to stay stays until the call is done.
Okay, cool. So where are we at on time? Are we past an hour already?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, if someone else has something they really want to say about this or a question they want to ask, then jump in. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next step.
Yeah, I would like to share really quick. When you said that, when you asked the question, like, what are you willing to stand for, even if you might not make it to the other side? I got really emotional, or I felt like this emotional. I don't know. It was like this feeling in my chest, and I thought to myself, wow, like even if I don't make it to the other side, and I don't become exactly who I want to be, it's still worth it. Because that's the beautiful life. It's living your truest expression. And for me, there's nothing more beautiful than that. And a part of me felt a little sad because if I don't make it to the other side, I mean, I never became who I wanted to be. But at the same time, I experienced a lot of beauty because I went all out. I didn't settle. I didn't filter myself. I was my truest expression. And yeah, that really hit me hard.
Yes.
I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Honor, Anthony. Honor. Honor. Let's give it a name. Let's give it a name, because the more that we give it a name, we can start distinguishing when we feel it. And the more that we do that, we can start letting it be a guide for us in our life. It's really powerful. It's really powerful. It's much more powerful, you know, I would say than our mind. You know, just using our mind to try to navigate social and relational issues is really difficult. And if we're guided by this force of honor, it can overcome the greatest of fears. It can overcome the greatest of obstacles, because it suddenly becomes not about the outcome. It becomes, who am I as a man? Who am I as a man that this is worth standing up for right now? You know, and it's really powerful. So, and Anthony, I imagine you got a glimpse of the man that you would be if you fucking went for it and you stood for it, even in the face of success or failure or whatever. That the kind of man you would be is the kind of man that you would feel honor around too. You might feel some sadness about not attaining whatever your image was of a dream, but the man that you would be a man of honor, right? And that's what it takes, because your spirit is crying out for you to be that man. You know, your heart has a sense of the man that you could be. And when you say, yes, I'm going to fucking be that man in the face of whatever, your heart responds. Your heart says, like, yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Right? And that yes is that feeling of honor. So, all right, so that's what we're looking for in this step. And then the next step, as we feel this feeling, the next step continues on from there. And it says, it goes like this. And it's vision. The more I see myself walking this path, standing for being this man, what came from the last step, the more I see myself standing for being this man in the face of everything from the previous step, the more I see this, the more I see, and then you just look, and it helps to look up and see yourself walking that path, and then what do you see? And write down what you see. And the more I see that, the more I see what? And you look, and then you write down what you see. The more I see that, the more I see what? And this is just looking down that path with this feeling of honor. And it's then what you have is vision with honor instead of or along with your dream. Remember how we started step one was the dream or the fantasy or the ideal, the mental image, the idea. This is much more powerful. This is a vision that comes with this powerful force of honor. This is how movements are started. This is how revolutions occur. This is how new things are born into the world. You know, when someone can see themselves walking a path that brings with it this force of honor where they just have to do it. It's like, this is who I am. This is who I'm meant to be. this is what I have to do. And they just fucking do it. So this is that next step. The more I see myself standing for being this in the face of all of this, the more I see what. And then you can even look to specific directions. Like the more I see myself standing for being this in the face of everything, the more I see what for my relationship with my parents. And the more I see that, the more I see what. And you can look to different areas of your life. And this is my personal work goes pretty deep into this. But this is a just by doing this exercise, if you do the first 3 steps and you don't proceed until you feel something powerful, then when you get to this step can be a really powerful step. There are questions about this? Comment? Maybe we could.
You go over it quickly, but I found, and I feel it now too, that this last step is really the one where once I touched upon the feeling of honor, I could really like feed that powerful feeling. And it really like, when I do that and when I see, and I start writing, the more I see myself standing for being the man who commits to being the provider, the more I see spirit, I see energy, delegation, transformation, leverage, tribe, sex, growth, fire, pride, victory, reverence. I really feel like it grows that feeling, this 4th step. And
yes, let's talk about that a second, because you named these things like pride, reverence, whatever. These are more concepts. So what I would, and they might be a label that you're putting on what you're actually seeing, Hans, but I would try to describe what you're actually seeing, because what we don't want is to go into our head and be conceptual on this step. What we want to do is actually describe what we're seeing as we look down this path of standing for this in the face of all of that. That makes sense? So let me give you an example. And okay, this might be a little bit hypothetical here, but I'm not going to make this personal right now. I'm going to just do this a little bit hypothetically. The more I see myself standing for being the man that my dream woman has been waiting for in the face of anything and everything, the more I see myself walking into a room taller with my head held higher, the more I see this, the more I see women noticing me more. The more I see this, the more I see myself smiling naturally at them. The more I see this, the more I see the spaces I'm in look brighter. The more I see this, the more I see, and I'm actually just looking, right? And I'm saying what I'm seeing. This is the objective here, right? And I could look to a different area in my life. The more I see myself standing for being the man that my dream woman has been waiting for in the face of everything, the more I see I'm waking up early in the morning and journaling and exercising. The more I see this, the more I see I'm carrying myself with more vibrancy and energy as I walk down the street. The more I see this, the more I see, and so you actually want to look and see something and say what you see, and then say, the more I see that, the more I see, and then you keep going. All right? I don't want to give too many instructions on it because I don't want to interfere with like, okay, you're doing it wrong or right or whatever. That's more of a headspace. But I want to communicate to you that what we want to capture here is what you're actually seeing. This is vision. Okay? And some people can say, well, I'm not a visual person, or I don't have visions, or this or that. That's all bullshit. The mind works the mind works with vision. This is something your mind is always doing. You're looking to see tomorrow. You're looking to see next year. You're looking to see later in the day, or imagining this or that or whatever. That happens all the time. So don't let those ideas about whether you're a visual person or not interfere with this part of the exercise. Just look, and it helps to look up. The more you see yourself standing for being, that phrase that moved you in the last part of the exercise, in the face of everything in the step before that, the more you see what? And you'll see something and then say it or write it down and then look, and the more I see that, the more I see what. Questions, comments? Hans, you could also provide, and I would encourage you for your course, like maybe really develop this part of the course to something that has a lot of examples, even audio examples, written examples. And I have some of this content you can get from me. But curious how that's landing for you guys. Is it clear, this step here, the instructions? Anything, what's unclear?
I guess on the last part there, the whole concept of this part is seeing yourself at the end of the line. Like when you have achieved this and won the battle, this is what it's going to be like.
No.
No?
No, great question. No, it's like imagine you make a stand for this right now. That stand for being happy no matter what comes, or whatever it is that moves you. You suddenly make a stand for this today and tomorrow and every day in your life. The more you see yourself standing for being that, or standing for that in the face of anything, today, tomorrow, into the future, the more you see what? And say, and your mind is going to look to that. My son, you don't have to have achieved anything. There's going to be what you see for your future is going to be different if you as you simply make a stand for that in ways that you haven't been standing for that now. Is that, Juan, is that clear?
Yeah, I think from what I get, what you're saying is, yeah, okay, what I said was sort of an outcome-based thing. You want to, experience the journey. This is a journey as we do this, and you want to experience every moment of it. And it's like try to see yourself at that moment with standing for whatever, standing for what you choose, and visualizing I guess that's going on around here and how it's affecting you.
And this is, you're just in the present moment. Just start off with this question. The more I see myself and fill in the blanks, the more I see, and then look to see, and then write down that very thing. This is not an exercise to visualize for a while and then come up with an answer. This is just in the present moment. Write down the first thing that you see. And then the more I see that, the more I see what. And then write down the very thing that comes up then. So this is like what happens in the very present moment. You're just going to let it happen, right? Just going to let it happen and write down what you're seeing.
This is exactly what we're working on in Module 1 is presence too. So it's really a good application to what we're talking about today. And I've been reading all week about this. So yeah, I can connect what you're saying.
Yes, it's like I have a female friend of mine who's been in a relationship where she wasn't really happy for years. The day that she made a stand in her life to be happy and for her freedom and whatever her stand was, and she left, imagine, suddenly there's a new future in front of her. Her future looks completely different. And it's not an idea anymore. It's not a dream. She's headed towards a new future. So I'm asking her, what do you see now, right? And the more you see yourself continuing to stand for your happiness and your freedom, no matter your husband's criticism, no matter this, no matter your fears, no matter what, as you keep walking this path of standing for your happiness and freedom in the face of everything, the more you see what. And so she's looking at us and she's just saying what she sees. It's like that. It's really powerful. So, and it's very different from a dream or an idea. That makes sense?
Yes, yeah, it does. I really appreciate that. And sometimes I have a hard time expressing in words how I feel. So.
Sure. Yeah, it's a journey. If we've spent our life keeping that private or not expressing that, or if that hasn't been welcomed by other people around us or whatever, yeah, it's a new muscle, right? Takes some working out. Other thoughts? Questions? Yeah, so imagine there's this mountain in your life that even now you're not fully facing with women or with being the man that you want to be. Like you're making an effort, but imagine that you haven't fully taken on this beast of a mountain that's like your potential. It's everything that's in the way of who you could be. You haven't fully confronted this enemy, this mountain, but suddenly you do, and you find something that makes it worth to take it on and to never look back. And then you imagine doing that day after day, and you look down that path. What do you see? And just write down what you see, right? So right now we're kind of intellectualizing about it, but I invite you to just have the experience of, from the worksheet, and the worksheet will have a certain number of spaces. Don't limit yourself to the worksheet. The worksheet is just to give you an idea of the direction of the exercise. Just let yourself journal on each of these steps as long as you want to.
Yeah, I'm liking the energy on this call and the way it's going, and I'm thinking that maybe next week we actually do the vision mission as a way to set a context of honor for the course going forward. So yeah, if everyone's good with that, I think it would be a really great way to move forward. So we finish presence this week, and next week we do our honor work so that going forward, we have that context of honor.
Yeah, and you guys, Hans, you invited these guys to take a stand in the beginning, right? Did they do that work of taking a stand?
No, this would be the exercise.
Okay.
Sean has done it with Daniel when we were together in Malaga. But,
Okay, great. Yeah, so this is intimately linked to taking a stand, which is, but once you find what moves you here and you see that vision, then suddenly you're carried forward with something much deeper in your heart than your concept, your idea, or your dream of who you could be or what you could have with women. Suddenly it becomes like this a mission. Like I fucking have to do it, And that's what. Then you're heading off to battle with. Imagine you go off to a battle just imagining victory and greatness and everything else, and then the enemy comes and you realize you're scared shitless and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you take off running. You know what I mean? Like that's not what you want. You want to head into battle with knowing what's coming and fucking something worth standing for, even if you fucking die on the battlefield, and you'll be remembered by your people as the man who went and stood up for them and gave his life for them and fucking died there, and you'll be remembered for the rest of time by your people. That's honor. That's how you want to head into this battle. It's much more powerful than a dream. That makes sense? Yeah, it's been fun, guys. Like what I wish for you, and you know, in taking away from this is like, yeah, honor is your birthright, you know, claim it, own it, get related to it, come to know it intimately, like as a guide in your life in relationships and with women and with your brothers. And yeah, onwards. Hans, thanks for the invite. Share today.
Yeah, thanks that you came on. It's great, fantastic. And I don't know how Sean proceeds from here.
Well, so yeah, tomorrow we'll introduce the vision mission. Hopefully everyone will watch the video, and then we can do that, or they can watch it after we introduce it, and we'll go from there. But Michael, I wanted to ask, if people wanted to see more of your work, where can they see it? Where can they get more of it?
They have to climb to the top of a very large mountain. Actually, right now, my main site where I used to do a lot of my work and events and stuff is actually down. Actually, I think most of my sites are down. That's a good question.
Well, for more, you can see my YouTube channel, because I did a couple of interviews with Michael. And
I don't know if you have more of my work there, Hans, but
it's a good place to start.
I have a program that you can purchase that's physical. You can have it shipped to your door. It's actually, if you want to go deeper into vision and honor and all of this, called the Visionary Mind Program. I also have like the digital version of that, which is actually like the recorded calls and the assignments from a group I took through it. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to Hans. You can find a way to. Those things are for sale, by the way.
Okay.
But I would just engage everyone to take the next step and go deep on this vision exercise. That's next. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. All right. Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Hans, as well. Thanks, guys, for organizing this. And yeah, that's it. We have another call tomorrow, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Sean, and everyone.
You're welcome. And thank you, Michael and Hans. You guys are, it's encouraging to know that there's guys out there like you that are maybe starting a revolution of sort to bring back this to men that has been taken away. And it's very encouraging to see. And with the power of the internet, you guys are really doing an awesome job with your work. Thank you.
You're a part of that, Juan. It's a we.
Second. Thank you. By the way, Sean, what time is the call again tomorrow?
I think it's I need to check. Is it 4 Madrid time? I think it's at 4 Madrid time. I think it's at 4 Madrid time. Same time it was last week. I'll check and I'll put a reminder up.
All right, cool. Thank you, man.
Okay, cool. All right, guys.
Adios.
Thank you all. Thanks, Sean, for leading. Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Later.